With the current meta being extremely narrow, it is pivotal for both your success and enjoyment of the game to make use of the opportunities to move out of that multi-way contest. My name is Boris, and today we'll be jumping in game with Voltaruix in a game that interested me by his 2-1 augment selection, and I was interested to investigate more and see how he managed to finish the game and how he approached his line. Our gods for the game are going to be Thresh and Echo, and our encounter is going to be the Prismatic Prelude. We are starting out with a 2 timebreaker already fielded. If we find that third one, we have a potential to play around some form of an Econ Edge, and right there do get in a Kali pair, and this is a gold opener, so well spotted. That we do not have particularly strong opener, therefore we are definitely good to make that 10 already on 1-3. And here we slot in Arbiter as well, and our options are for interest gain on 10 instances of damage or dropping below 40 health. Have to see what our effects are going to be, but I would be leaning towards the 10 instances damage dot as the first one potentially. Now, he's valuing the rerolls here. This is more the generic choice we could be choosing as simply providing more econ. The more interesting one would be, for example, 10 instances of damage, gaining armor and magic resist. That would play into the Diana reroll, but we have not seen a single component, and that is a very high roll spot that you need to be playing that comp. Otherwise, the max health shield was more reminiscent of the Leona 3 full tank build days. Otherwise, he's just going to be clicking immediately the Econ 1, as it's simply something that we can be playing around from the interest gain. If we are going to be playing from a loss streak, did not have more information at the point to be looking, and our components are leaning more into that AP direction for our 2-1 augment selection, even though I know what we're going to be pitting, but still, let's go through it. Prismatic Ticket, amazing whenever there's a reroll meta. Top tier augment, even though it was nerfed to 45% this set, still absolutely banger, but at the moment you're going to have a rough time unless you are playing something like the Lulu right away. Pandora's items has the potential for a radiant item, however I would prefer the Golden Gamble to guarantee a good one right away if we are able to obviously coin flip that, but these two augments are something that we would want to be taking from a tempo spot, as you want to be accelerating your item economy. Do not be gambling for something like a Radiant DB and just to play the quirky. That play is most likely not going to work out exactly as you want, as you're going to be lacking in the econ. So we're totally defaulting Golden Gamble here as still as a bailout for a potential spike to be going there. The Pandora's you want to be utilizing more to increase your item tempo. He seems to be liking Pandora's more. Now, you saw already he went with the exalted adventure, as that's an opportunity to simply move out of the way the line. However, buried treasures in a lower component start is something that's quite strong, even though we have a weaker board. It's still a potential for you to spike on that stage 3 with the completed items. Otherwise, for the lower roll opponents, like a comeback story into Master Yi or a Corki is quite good, but our help components are AP, so we're going with that. And our exalted adventure is going to be a Milio, a Kali, and a Zoe. Now, this might require some finesse to string together. I am interested to see how he approaches, because to my mind there do not seem to come any clear links right away. The Akali's frontline, for example, are Bastions and Brawlers, but the Akali itself you would want to play around Marauders to actually buffer, as you want to be obviously buffing your 3-star units, and he's mapping out some kind of a board around Vanguard conduits. Now, the Milio has the Pantheon there to be rolling together along, which is nice, and has the potential to be playing around Timebreaker to farm even more econ. But still, you would have to attack in Fate Weaver somehow, and you would more likely playing into Lulu reroll, while Zoe is wanting to be more played around obviously this Arbiter and Vanguard kind of line, since it pairs with the Mordekaiser. So we do not have exactly that clear of a links right away. And our components are leaning more in AP, so we're going to be looking probably at this right here. We are playing a weaker board to start off with. We do get another Arbiter to slot in to farm a little bit extra econ, as we want to be holding onto this Ilawi right here. Has the potential for us to try to stabilize our board. Otherwise, we are just lost streaking. We do not have any upgraded units. They're not particularly excited of slamming this Archangels right away. And this is going to be a prismatic opener, so lots of players are going to be either extremely weak or very, very strong on their tempo side. Extremely weak, for example, something like if a comeback story was in the meta. For our next selection right here, mini recon Bob would require us to sacrifice our board, so we're not going to be going with it. Going to be going with the divine intervention. We are lost streaking, has a potential to rebound our econ, And now we're probably looking for maybe some kind of mana generating item or sorting out frontline. We don't have frontline components. We're fine to picking up this gold right here and have the chain vest right there. Slotting in the... so he seems to be going more into this Arbiter version, even though we have these econ generating one. And we have slotted in our other 2 costs into the team planner. And we are positioning to sack, obviously, as we're going to be losing these rounds. Secure that 5 loss at least. Then could maybe look to spike on 3-2 and start picking up our rounds there. Now, the play that he might be going for, and we'll have to see, is if he's simply saying, hey, the Zoe 3 is quite strong, especially if we're able to get her good items. Even though we don't have the strongest of the Arbiters, we can just finish one of these 3 stars. It will be either Kali or Milio, whichever we hit first, cash out, and then try to push tempo. And maybe if we are lucky enough to hit fast enough, we have a possibility of capping out our board around some potential 5 costs maybe. But let's see, this is still a long way to go. This is an optimistic plan. But generally in this meta, you love to be taking anything that allows you to move away from these contests. For example, Gragas Hero has seen quite a lot of success even without that synthetic implant. Simply playing around drone or biomatter, whatever. You get out of the contest, you are able to secure yourself a top 4, get out of the game, queue up the next one and see if you have the gold spot for your Corki ribbon, basically your fast 9. As these are the comps that pretty much have won most of the lobbies, or obviously ASOL, something like a Dark Star emblem. And it's always nice to be playing a little bit of a different kind of a game. We find that Mordekaiser, and this is Mordekaiser's neat, as it is another unit we can be rolling alongside with. For ourselves, going to be completing a Void Staff here and have the Morello. Zoe absolutely amazing at applying those, and is going to provide a little bit more damage for her, queuing into the Forged in Strength player here. So this is the Battle of 2 Lost Streakers. We have this 2-star Zoe, we have also the Vanguard synergy on our board, so I would believe that our streak might get snapped here, but this Samira's putting in quite a lot of work. This Diana's not doing that too much. But yeah, the 2-star Zoe is going to be just too much. We're going to snap our streak. So now we would try to ideally see if we can stabilize our roll to these free rerolls. Next augment selection right there. We saw Heroic Grab Back, that would immediately allow us to hit. Otherwise, Electro Charge is nice in these fast heavy frontline comps, and Misfits are amazing in your fast 9 lines. You do not have to be playing this. You don't have to be playing either of them, but Rast is obviously going to be quite neat. Provides that pretty much a gold augment value of buff if you're able to get to 5-6 traits. Well, Misfortune, well, you just sell her and don't play her. Pilfer would be an econ option, and ideally at this kind of spot we would be looking to find the econ to be able to hit, unless her Heroic Grab Bag is obviously going to be the best option one. Pilfer could be quite gamble and it's going to take quite late for us to clash out a TG, and Cognitive Overload is just a generic econ if we did not find anything better. Going to be rolling here using our free rerolls at least. See if we possibly going to be digging below this 50. Find 4 Vanguard, so I believe we are fine to be sitting here, still opting to have our board be a little bit weaker with this Diana on the board, since well, she doesn't have traits, and as a unit, especially at 1-star, she's not going to be that strong. A Kali 2 would obviously be stronger right here, but we want to be prioritizing our econ even more, so we can see he has a heavy tax on econ as an attempt to hit as early as possible, going up against the AP Kaisa here, but we simply do not have that much damage against this Windstreaker player here, who has quite strong of a frontline through that Mogul's Mail. Though we are pretty much going to be slow rolling the rest of the stage, picking up an ASOL, taking that out of the pool. If we had a chance, we could also be a little bit nasty and take out this Rammus. Simply just by holding on to these units, you are effectively increasing your own AP, AVP, right? If you're able to do so also on level 8 roll downs. By not sacrificing too much time, just hold on to these Rammuses, ASOLs, ideally Mighty Maxes, they need that Mighty Mech too. And you are able to perhaps make the other players invest more gold. Since did not manage to spike, we are still probably looking towards the Econ Skull Party is pretty much the great one right here. And the Anomaly aligning ourselves with Echo is going to provide us a guaranteed frontline item, and in the worst case we can move it back to some form of an AP caster, since we're going to be playing around an AP board. Otherwise Thresh would be fine if it was a quest that's not there. Hope that we find some kind of Econ. We do high roll a Karma here right away, so definitely would be looking to hold on to that unless we are going to get ourselves bench locked, as Karma is a very prominent unit in the meta as well. Seeing on 5 copies of each. Have to give up on some of these weaker units. Fine, 6 copies of Mordekaiser as well. Picked up that glove, and let's see if you're going to go for it. We're not in a spot to exactly go for this tempo slap off steadfast. Could hold on to something like a jeweled gauntlet right there. Going up against the Gwen 2 with the Radiant Nasher, she's going to be the absolute monster. Getting these resets on our weak side, so we're definitely going to get cleared. Quite a heavy loss, as this is the part of a Zoe. She can trickle the also units down to low HP, but not exactly going to get there. Giving up, sucking our board a little bit here, as well, we are quite low on life, so we definitely need to be hitting after this round. We are not that far. That is great news for ourselves. 5, 4, and 6 copies of our Exalted Adventure, and still holding on to this Leona 3 out. He seems to be, as we just want to have a 3-star frontliner, right? Ideally, when you get the Exalted Adventure, you are trying to see if you can link one of your carries with a frontliner, then roll for both, hit, and obviously pick up anything you can along the way. Just picking up 2 units that you can go for. Have to give up on these Leonas now, get our blessing in as well, so we had an incentive to be further sacking our board for that. Utilizing this time on the PV round to keep rolling a little bit, but going to stay above 50. As now we are 8 copies, 6 copies, 6 copies, and more 3 just comes for us for free. That's absolutely amazing news for ourselves. Now going to be sending it right here, utilizing our dupes that we got in, completing this Milio, completing the Zoe, getting ourselves a Radiant Warmogs and a Giant Slayer. That's going to be quite nice. Now can use these items to figure out the items to figure out the rest of our items. Do get double Warmogs. This is going to be one beefy Mordekaiser right in front, loving that extra health, and we also slotted in Asol as another conduit for ourselves. Held onto it for a long while, but I cannot imagine that we're going to be carrying that as a duo, as we do not exactly have these crit items for our last augment right here. We would either looking for combat power or items. We have a 3-item carry, but we are heavily invested into utility already. Perhaps if we could be able to find some form of raw damage items. Now, Best Friends is something that in this meta can be quite good, but has open to use potential wraps from these Master Yi players. Perhaps we have to see how we're going to be pushing around. We are not on level 8, so we do not get the full value of this augment that it's balanced around. Salvage Bin, going to be a little bit delayed value. We want to be spiking now. We are on low HP, so we want to be securing ground. So perhaps Crash Dash Dummies is an appealing option right there. Indiscriminate Killer is an interesting option to consider since we have that Radiant GS. This should work, Radiant GS, for all my knowledge. Malicious Monetization. That would heavily index another Econ Augment. I'm not sure if we can take it when playing these not so meta lines. Cybernetic Uplink, we do not have that many items around to be spreading right now. And we have the Conduit for Mana Gen, so this is going to probably be a Discriminate Killer, and yes, it seems to be so. Slotting in the Rust, going to be rolling here, see if we can find another Vanguard. Do not manage to hit, but we can slot in this Rust to get a little bit of resistance, get a little bit of attack speed. And yeah, going to be going with the 3 conduit right here. We have not held on to, we have the Meepsy right there, so for Shepherd we are missing the LeBlanc right there. Still, well, sent it to 0 here, hopes of picking up the rounds, and now it's Mordekaiser against the world, but this Karma Unit 2 is just absolutely insane. And now we find our LeBlanc with the little gold we have, find the Rust too, so that's going to be considered upgrade. Still a little worried that we are running around here with only 3 Vanguard, but this Mordekaiser is quite beefy as long as he can keep our Zoe protected. And now Master Yi is on our weak side. Thankfully he does not have the strongest of the 3 items, but our weak side falls immediately. And now, thank God he did not get the wrap. He stayed onto our Mordekaiser, so he's definitely going to get stuck there. We're able to clean up, and the Zoe 3 is doing quite a bit of work. 5 cost shop immediately picked. Now the reroll there for golds, the gold would have been quite strong of an option to rebound our econ, but I believe our cap is here. For example, we already see the Sona, we can play around the Bard, and this 5 cost shop could help us replace these weaker units. This LeBlanc one without items not going to do anything, whereas Bard has a little bit of a value in itself. Now we have an option to choose between Nunu and a Sona, and he opts to go with a Sona. We are fine to be dropping our Arbiter here, Form 3 especially, and you just find a Nunu in a shop. That's completely fine as well. Now, the Voyager buff is quite strong, and the belt also allowed us to complete the Nasher's Tooth. Now, obviously, you will want to make this with the JG, but it's fine. It still is a mana item, and the Sona loves these mana items. I'm just having a hard time imagining how do we exactly make it to level 9 right now. Queuing up against the fast 9 player right there. Triple Econ Augment going into the Vex, and Thankfully, they have not hit that much, and they do not have the greatest of the items. This is the punishment sometimes you have to take if you are going to be heavily indexing on econ. I'm not too big of a fan of the fast 9 from more triple econ, especially. Double econ is a little tricky. I would have rather invested my earlier augment picks into some form of items, keeping at the tempo, especially given that this player was on 100 lives going into the 3-2, and then picking up another strong econ option now, even though Shimmer Essence is still amazing at both items and econ in the 2-1, so he already had that sorted out in some way, able to pick up an easy win here against a player that seems to have been in contest, most likely with a Radiant DB trying to go for the quirky ribbon. Just picking up the first one, whatever we see, and we are able to complete ourselves a adaptive helmet. Now, what do we do exactly with this anomaly? See that our psionic is a drone. Now, I don't believe many of our units are doing that much overkill, but still could be decent for the Zoe. And our 5-cost shop is absolutely amazing. We've had the golden dupe come in. We had the Sona too and the Bar too. So it was always just pick the 5-cost shop. He already knew. And part of it was that this Fast 9 Vex player wasn't playing around these AP Shepherd kind of carries. So that drastically increased our chances of being able to find these units that we wanted. Amazing read right there. And now we are on the path for our win. Now the lobby is quite close, between 22 and 12 HP, separating the third and the 8th place. So any couple of wins here could net us a top 4 placement, and that is generally what we'll be looking for. But our board is extremely strong, and our front line is held down by this Mordekaiser. We fortunately do not have 4 Vanguard, but we have slotted in 3 Voyager quite neatly, have found some items for this Bard as well, going against the Nami that does snipe our Zoe, but so close, and we're dropping down to 3 HP just now. This would be a disaster to go at like this. The Bard just simply wasn't exactly unable to finish it off. Our itemization is not the strongest of the points. Pinging here was we have a player with the 7 Kindreds and the golden dupe, so and we are not exactly in a position to be sacking now, to be rolling down further. Up against the Asol Dark with the Darkstar emblem, it's a prominent threat, but thankfully he's now going to get stuck on this Mordekaiser. And this Zoe is still an absolutely beasting. Now obviously there's the support from the Sona and the Bard, but absolutely clearing the boards still in these later stages of the game. Do not like our options here. Leveling for this Rast right away. We have those 6 traits in, which is the absolutely insane breakpoint for him. And I find another Giant Slayer doubling down on the damage amp against tanks, as Zoe is going to be struggling with this single target damage. Same goes for Sona. So actually having this Bard further down the damage amp on the tanks, as he has it already built in, is going to be quite nice to complement our composition. Against the Ghost of the Fast 9 player, has Blitz 2, has the Vex 2, but still has that Gambler's Blade there instead of a Rage Blade. And now we have secured ourselves a top 4. Absolutely amazing. So let's see if we can either further push ourselves. The HP shield one should be quite nice, as this Mordekaiser is our sole frontliner, and now we're just going to be in troubles of finding an Anu 2 as well. This is something I believe to have recognized from the lobby, therefore opted to play around this Voyager with the Pike, with the Karma, providing ourselves the shields. The Vanguards love these shields, positioning the Zoe on the weak side to clear up these targets, getting away from the Nunu. Nunu ult goes on their backline, absolutely masterclass at the positioning, able to clear off as well onto this Nami and securing another win, and with another one we definitely can be breaking into the top 3 or even top 2. Now if the Bard stole the dragon for us, I'm not sure if we can field it until level 10, but the good part is we do not have that much to roll for. This Karma 2 here is not going to be doing that much, so we can just be considering, did not get the dragon unfortunately, therefore we could just be leveling for perhaps another Voyager or 3 Meeple. Just simply getting another trade for the Rast would be quite ample, and yeah, we are just going full tank destroyer Bard right here. Do not need that also the anti-heal from the anomaly on the caster, just going to juice up our front line a little bit. Interesting that he values the Warmogs, the second Warmogs, the normal one, over the anomaly. But I believe that 30% HP synergy probably outvalues it, so that's the read most likely. Reducing the mana cost of our Zoe, and we are in a 1v1 against this Mecha Asol right there, and this is going to be the biggest matchup where we actually need so much of this single target damage, positioning Zoe in hopes that maybe she can get to the backline, but we just absolutely have to get through this mech. But now they have insane cap with the Fourier 2, with so many items on their side as well. This Fortune Strength Augment cashed out, Asol just snaps in our backline, and we are unfortunately going to take a hefty loss right there. Thankfully we were able to dodge this player for quite a while, and yeah, kind of a Riot special also going into this last fight. Streaking, and we are also close to streaking, but hey, the gods blessed us, the Mordog was with us, and we were able to secure ourselves a top 2 placement, playing something extremely off meta by still recognizing which units are going to make it powerful. Well read in the early game, getting out of the contested line, making even the Exalted Adventure that wasn't that strong work, found a way how to do it by heavily indexing on econ, then identifying we need to spike here, and found ourselves a way out to play for this top placement by identifying that the 5-cost shop from the Echo has a high potential upside for ourselves, played into it, got it secured, and made our way out. I would like to thank you for watching, and I hope that you learned something new. As usual, the cheat sheets are going to be available in the link down below. I am thinking of making one for Leona, Hero, Augment, and Fast 9 over the weekend. If you have any others, please let me know in the comment section below. And I hope to see you in the next one. Have a good one.